Now let's design the widget that pops up whenever you use ChatGPT in Unreal. So we're going to be creating Editor Utility Widgets, which are a little bit different than standard widgets, but they work very similarly. So if you right-click and go to Editor Utilities, we can create an Editor Utility Blueprint or an Editor Utility Widget. We're going to create an Editor Utility Widget. Now what Editor Utility Widgets do is they allow you to run them in the editor and then assign specific tasks to what they do. However, they have all the power of a standard widget, so you can design and build them with the standard widget editor. So I'm going to call this one WChatGPT and open it up. And as you can see, it looks just like the designer for a standard widget. First off, we can delete this canvas panel. We're going to bring in a grid panel, which we'll call main GP. We're going to create one column on that, and we're going to create 3 rows. The first row is going to be 0.75. The second row is going to be 0.2. And the last row is going to be 0.05. Next, I'm going to grab a scroll box and pull it in. We're going to leave it in the top section here, and we're going to call this output SB. And this is going to be the section that outputs the information that ChatGPT gives back to us after we've asked a question. I'm also going to add a multi-line text box to this, which I'll call output TB. I'm going to set the size to fill, and we'll just set the font family to Roboto. Now you can see when I click on it, nothing shows up. If we hit the gear icon, we can go to show engine content, and now we can see it here. So we'll click on that. We can go ahead and compile and save this. And I'm going to grab another scroll box and pull that under the main grid panel. This one we're going to call input GP, and we're going to shift this down to the second area here. Then I'll grab an image, put that under. We're going to call this input line image. And this is just going to give us a break between the output here and the input. So we're just going to make the size of this 2 by 2. And then I'm going to grab another text box multi-line and pull that under here. We'll set it to fill. And we're going to set the name to input TB. And I want to set the font family to Roboto, and I want to set the hint text to say input question. The last thing I want to put down here is going to be a button to submit the text that the user has input. So I'm going to grab a button, pull that under the main grid panel, and we'll shift it down to the bottom. I'm going to call this one submit BTN, and I'm going to grab a standard text block and pull that under the button and call it submit text, and I'm going to change the text to submit. And the last thing that I want to do here with this submit button is actually want to change the size to 10. Otherwise it's going to appear too large when we spawn it in our editor. We can compile that and save, and that's all we need to do to design the ChatGPT window.